Here we are. Welcome back. It is so great to be here with you, friend. Today I am joined by Miss Lauren Alcorn. I'm so excited to dive into this topic of how we get unstuck. Like, why are we still stuck? Where are we stuck? How do we get unstuck? And Lauren is the best person to talk on this topic. Let me tell you a little bit about her, but first, let me just welcome her so it's not awkward. So, yay, Lauren, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Excited that you're here. So Lauren is a psychiatric nurse practitioner. She's been in healthcare for 20 years and started her own practice for the last 5 years. She's helped tons and tons of women and families and people. And it's all about integrative, realistic solutions to help people heal at the core and not just manage issues. And what I love about Lauren's work is it's all biblically grounded and rooted. She doesn't push that on anybody. So wherever your beliefs are, you will get a ton from it. But to me, it's rooted in truth and it's rooted biblically. And so I tune in and I'm like, tell me more. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to heal. She's a mama of two, a 12-year-old and a 10-year-old who, are in school and activities. So she gets that life and a wife for 16 years, which is awesome. And today's topic is how do we get unstuck? Why are we stuck? Like, let's do this. Let's get unstuck. So, Lauren, will you just kick us off and tell us a little bit about your journey into this psychiatric nurse practitioner? Like, what led you here? And then we can dive into getting unstuck.
Great question. I think this has not been a streamlined pathway. I think there were signs from very early on in my life that, again, just kept signals, kept telling me to go this direction. But for the first couple decades of my life, I struggled with my own physical health ailments, and I just normalized them and managed them. And especially when you're young and youthful and feeling indestructible, you just keep trucking along. And it wasn't until I graduated as a nurse and I was working in the hospital system and I recognized just how wrong all the things that I was feeling was. And I also knew what my conventional options were. I didn't like them. I didn't want to be on medications for the rest of my life in my 20s. And I wanted to help my body be healthy for motherhood, for my future children and family. And so I really started to take some deep dives into what direction I could do to help myself feel better as I was intended to heal. So the last 20 years of my life have been spent towards that 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 philosophy of how do we heal, how do we get unstuck, how do we get to a place of healing and thriving.
I love that you used your own pain and now it's become your purpose. You know what I mean? Like your own suffering and it's become your purpose. And I love what you said about how we normalize our issues. It's almost like, okay, this is the hand I'm dealt, so I just need to learn how to cope with it. And you're
Hmm.
saying we don't have to cope. Like there's we don't have to stay stuck.
Yeah, I think especially everyone feels symptoms at one point or another in their life. Sometimes it happens in adulthood, sometimes it's childhood. Again, mine started I didn't get to leave the hospital because they knew something was a little bit off.
Wow.
And so it was that's why I normalized it so much. I'm like, this is just how I was born. And it wasn't until I got into my 20s, I'm like, this, yes, I was born this way, but that doesn't mean it's inevitable. I'm stuck here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm almost hearing like this permission to go, we don't have to normalize being stuck.
Absolutely.
And maybe we start there. Like maybe it's like it's let's not normalize being stuck and make it our story. Like let's get unstuck.
Absolutely. And I would say the kind of the framework I use and how to start that process is built on, 20 plus years and working in a lot of different settings and working with people, seeing where they're stuck, seeing what's keeping them stuck. And I've kind of created a formula or framework of how do we get unstuck? And would love to share that.
Let's do that. Let's dive in. And it's interesting because originally the topic was going to be like, why are you still stuck? So maybe let's just start there. Like what would you like how do you kick that off? Or why are you still
Okay.
stuck?
I would say the number one reason why I see women still stuck is because they are stuck in a sympathetic nervous system state. So if it's helpful, I'm going to describe what the nervous system is. And that is, it's essentially a communication highway between our mind and our body. And it sends signals from our mind down and our body up. And anytime that system gets stuck and with a bunch of stress signals between that highway, um, healing can't happen. Cortisol levels go up. Resources that are meant for healing can't flow to where they need to go. So everyone's kind of heard of that fight or flight state. I use the polyvagal theory to help people understand the different states that their body goes into. So we've got our fight or flight, but what often women mistake for relaxation is when we are shut down and frozen.
Mm.
And here's a good example of that is we've got women that are, go, 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 on edge, irritable all day long. And then at night, after running, 100 miles an hour all day, they just shut down. They want to lock themselves in their room. They don't want to talk to anybody. They don't want anyone to touch them. Like they have no more energy to give and they shut down. And that's, I think so many of us relate that. Well, that must be when I'm like relaxing. That's not relaxing. That is, we are in exhaustion and our body just says, "No more. You've gotta shut down just so you can get back into that state you're gonna put me in that fight or flight, go, go, go all day long next." So, relaxation feels like I'm able to socialize. I'm able to sit down and play a game with my family. I'm able to listen and take in stressors and be able to stay rational through them. That's what relaxed feels like. And it's important that we know those, being shut down and closing ourselves off to the world, isolating, that is not relaxation. And so too many women are getting stuck in that fight or flight or that shutdown, and we cannot heal when we stay in that state.
Wow, that's really insightful and just a good call out. I almost want to go back, Lauren, to like examples of stuck,
Hmm.
just so, our listener can go, oh, this is an area. Because I think there are certain areas in my life where I'm not stuck. But then there are other areas in my life where I am stuck and I keep going down the same like cycles and I have a reaction and then I apologize to my 2-year old because I just snapped at him and then I feel guilty and then I come back like that I can identify for myself as an area of stuck because I tend to do it over and over again. Is that
Well,
what
I
you
think
mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very broad. I think symptoms come from a dysregulated nervous system, and I think that can be any symptom, whether physical or emotional, whether it's my can't my I'm keep having belly pain or my thyroid's acting up or I'm having headaches all the time or my, immune system is super weak. And sometimes
Okay.
it's stuck in the mindset of I just feel overwhelmed, I can't focus, I feel anxious and irritable all the time. Those are all symptoms, whether it's anxiety, mood, physical, those are symptoms and signals that our body is saying, "Hey, pay attention because something's not right," and that right will never be corrected while we stay in that, dysregulated nervous system state.
So is there wisdom to like identifying the specific symptoms and the signals like here, or does that not really matter as much as like focusing on the solution?
So I think it's very important to identify what we're feeling, right? I think it's important to say, I am feeling anxious and irritable right now, and I need to understand why. Or I am struggling with this physical symptom, or I am, I think it's important for identification because we cannot solve a problem that we don't and make awareness around.
Yeah.
What I don't want women to do is identify with their symptom. I don't
Okay.
want them to say, my anxiety is acting up today, or my thyroid or my hormones are, going crazy. I want, to separate our identity from our symptom because it's a signal. It's a cue that something's off and it's a cue that something can be supported.
So good. That's so, so good. So there's wisdom to going, what are my symptoms? And not just like ignoring or normalizing and just
Correct.
right. So like let's call out the system. Let's identify the symptom. And so that's a part that I want to invite you as a listener right now to go, what are the symptoms? Maybe it's something you journal on, or maybe it's you reach out to Lauren and we'll get you all her contact information, by the way, and any ways you can connect with her because this is the line of work she's in. So if you need support in this area, this is a great space to go. But identifying the system, but I love what you said of like identify the symptom, but don't make it your identity.
Yes.
And those are totally different things.
And I feel it's especially hard for when we're in the mental health category Because if you start saying things like my anxiety, then again, we become that, and it's very challenging to do that with mental health symptoms because there is a spectrum. You are supposed to feel anxious once in a while. You are supposed to have low mood and trouble focusing and like those are all a normal spectrum. Of course, we don't want to get stuck there, but we get stuck there when we start identifying it and claiming it and making it ours and saying like this is just a part of who we are, as opposed to seeing it as a signal of something telling us, of a signal telling us what we need to pay attention to.
Wow. So I'm hearing you say, like, hey, anxiety and some of the lows we experience, that's just a human condition. That's called being
Correct.
human and living in life,
Absolutely.
and it's going to happen. Part of getting stuck there, though, is when we make it our identity and we take what's supposed to be a cue, a symptom that tells us, oops, something's off. You got to do something here. And we go, this is now me. I struggle with anxiety, or I am depressed, or I am whatever, fill in the blank.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the caveat to that is, again, if it's short term, let's say you have to hang out with some in-laws that you're not super excited to hang out with and you're a little anxious how that's gonna go, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um, as long as you can identify, it makes sense that I'm feeling this way, I can work with that. If people start to have those symptoms and they have literally no clue where it's coming from and they just can't get unstuck from it, that becomes, again, that where we wanna use that framework to understand. But it still remains a signal. It's not something we have to be stuck with.
Great. So we've identified the signal, the symptom, and now we're ready to get unstuck, Lauren. So walk us through this framework and what that,
Yes.
yeah,
The 3 foundational things. We want to make sure we're nourishing our body with our basic biological needs. And this is where it comes back to that like biblical framework where we think we know all the things as to what our body needs. And we've got all these health experts telling us what we need to do, what we can eat, what we can't eat. And really, like biologically, how our bodies physically function is all pretty identical. We need a few basic things. We need hydration, we need whole foods, we need movement, and we need sleep. If any of those things are missing, like, our nervous system is already taking a big step into that fight or flight state because it's saying, "We're not getting our biological needs met, so I'm already on alert."
got it. So it's almost like let's go to the basics, right? Like basic of all basics, we need to be nourishing our bodies. Here's our four: hydration. So maybe
Mhm,
we pause and go, how am I hydrating myself? Am I drinking
mhm,
sufficient amounts of water? Um, and then whole foods, like what am I consuming? Am I in
mhm.
the pantry all day? Yeah, maybe. It's kind of a running joke in our household. I do
Mm,
love the pantry,
wonderful,
but there's not as many whole foods in that pantry as there are in the fridge. So maybe that pivot would be good. And then the movement and then the sleep.
yeah. What I like to say about this first initial, like, foundational stage is more good in. Don't punish yourself for,
So good.
the things that, we have guilt over, right? Right now, the as because at this point, we're just trying to get out of crisis. We're just trying to give our body the foundational things it needs. We don't need to give ourselves more guilt on top of that. So, this foundational stage is just getting more good in. So, whether that's, "I'm gonna drink this cup of water before I have this cup of coffee," or, "I'm gonna make sure I have my protein before I have my muffin." Like, I don't it's too often I see in my women population that we're skipping water, we're drinking and surviving on coffee and sweetened beverages, we're skipping breakfast. So it's not about trying at this stage is I don't want to punish anything that you are doing. I want you to do more of what your body biologically needs.
Great. That's such a good call out. Thank you for that. And you're right, because we tend to go, I need more water. I'm so bad. And then now we're like,
Mhm.
we actually set ourselves backwards versus forwards because we're spending this time on guilt and shame
Yeah.
is healing, which is what the point of it is. So maybe asking ourselves of like, what can I do to drink more water?
Mhm.
How can I swap out some stuff for more whole foods? Like maybe just like a simple swap at every meal or something. I don't know. I'm just thinking basic stuff. This is Nadine
Sure.
thoughts. What does movement look like for me? And I, I don't know. For me, I just need to like commit to 10 minutes because 10 minutes will get me moving, you know?
Yeah.
And then sleep. That's always a little bit of a tricky one, but
Yeah.
just making that a priority.
Sure. And again, um insomnia, sleep disorders, it's a real thing. So I don't want it to be dismissive of, some people try to get sleep and they just can't.
Yeah.
Um, so certainly having support with that. But for the average person of just prioritizing, putting the phone down, putting screens away, making sure your
Yep.
head's hitting the pillow earlier during the day,
Yeah.
doing some calming activities at night, all of those things to help promote a regular sleep cycle is a good place to start.
That's so good. It's interesting because I've had my journey with sleep. And I think, for a long time when I was younger, I'd say, "I'll sleep when I'm dead." Like, I remember claiming that of like, "I have too much life to live, I have too much to do." And it's like,
Uh,
"Well, no, 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 like, sleep will allow me to have a better life." Like, sleep is the goal because now I don't wanna be lazy, but it's interesting when I had that shift. The other thing that really helped me with sleep that I'm so shocked by, Lauren, is I used to have a hard time falling asleep, so I'd have a little bit of wine, and that
oh,
would
yeah.
help me, but then I would get up in the middle of the night and not sleep, and when I
Yeah.
eliminated wine, like, just cut it out, I sleep so much better, and it's crazy because I
Mhm.
thought it was helping me, but it was actually hurting me.
Yeah. You brought up a funny point. Well, I had a woman client I was working with yesterday, and, I had told her our motto was needs before wants. So
Mm,
we need to prioritize sleep, food, movement, and I think we have this battle by not gonna be able to do what I wanna do.
yeah,
And it was a really big shift for her because that's what we've been working on, and she's like, "I got all these things that I wanted to get done, and I haven't been able to do them forever." And it happened when I was doing more good for my needs.
wow,
And it was that reminder of like, hey, when we take care of those foundational basics, you actually end up having more energy, more ability to focus. And so you are, and not that I need us to be more productive, but you get to be more
yeah.
productive in the ways that you want and
Yeah.
feel more efficient because you're taking care of the basics first.
That's so good. That's a good call out. Thank you for calling that. And so we try to keep these episodes about 20 minutes, Lauren, just to give you an idea. Right
Mhm.
now we're at about, I'm guessing around 15-ish. And
Okay.
like, I'd love to kind of come up with like, what are we going to wrap up in these last 5 minutes with? And then episode 2, we can really dive in some more and
Okay.
dig a little bit deeper. And so let's kind of get back to this getting unstuck. The first part is like nourishing our body.
Yep.
Give me more.
I would say that the next 2 phases, and maybe we'll, talk about the last one in the next episode, but this next is anchoring with our intentions.
Okay.
And that means anchoring in our beliefs and our purpose and our connections.
Okay.
Our nervous system needs connection and purpose to feel safe.
Hmm. Tell me more. Give me examples. Give me more
Yeah.
information here.
All right. Consider when we don't have a strong anchoring in what we believe about ourselves, about our health, about our healing, we get lost in the wind of what all everybody else is saying. And
Got it.
right now, that is a world of we've got every expert telling us how we're supposed to live our life and what we need to do to feel good. And it's not taking any consideration into what your personal beliefs and needs are.
That's good. Okay. So what I'm hearing that as like, what are my convictions?
Mhm.
What are my beliefs? What are my values? And rooting there so then we're not distracted and all over the place from this health expert says this, and then this says this, and this
Right.
article said that, and and my mom's sister said, all the things.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
because it's like if you hear, you might hear the latest trend and you're like, well, I'm not doing that. Am I not taking care of myself? And it's like we start to question all these things about our body. And the other thing, I this happens all the time when I'm in the office is I say, how do you sleep? And someone will pull out their phone and look at their phone or their watch like we've got so disconnected with our bodies. We're not anchored in
wow,
how we feel and we're relying on other people to tell us how we feel.
that's
Or
so
other data or pieces
yeah.
of information.
Yeah, it's like we live in such an amazing time. Our access to knowledge at our fingertips. Like our parents didn't have that, right? Like
Yeah, they
they
probably
were
slept better too.
right? But it's a blessing and a challenge
Yeah.
of like then we get out of tune. It's almost like as simple as like I don't even know close people's phone numbers because they're stored in, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes, like, I use map I use the GPS to still get to places that I've been to so many times because I'm
Mhm.
so used to relying on it.
Yeah.
It's like that kinda thing. So I get it. I got you. So what's the 3rd?
The 3rd is nurturing our mindset, and honestly, I think it's the most powerful tool in creating nervous system regulation and finding safety and healing.
Okay, so maybe that will be our next episode. Let's dive really into
Awesome.
like nurturing our mindset and what does that look like and what does that mean and how do we do
Mhm.
it? And maybe we'll do some more practical applications around the others. But that feels really good to me. So as we wrap up this episode, if what would you say to just wrap up this content of what we've shared so far with our listener?
I would say at this stage, focus on putting more good into your life, not punishing yourself for the things that aren't going well, and to make sure that you separate what you're feeling and how you identify yourself. As what I'm feeling, those are signals. How I identify is I get to choose that and how I anchor my beliefs.
Thank you. That's very well communicated. And I think I just want to say to you, sister, you are not stuck and you don't have to stay stuck. Wherever you feel stuck, identify it, but don't make it your identity. And then walk through healing around it, whatever that looks like. But you don't have to stay stuck. I think that's the biggest thing I'm taking from this that I want to share with you is let's get unstuck. Let's get unstuck. You are loved, you are valued, you are valuable right where you are. And we will talk to you on the next episode to dive into nurturing our mindset and what that looks like.